All righty, everyone. Welcome back. Part 2. From Possuk to Posek. From Possuk to Posek. From the verse, we're going to go through some sources like we did last week, talk about some ideas. I have some books over here. And we're going to talk about Mezuzah a little bit tonight, just like we did last week, some different topics. So we did last week was we focused on the verse and we kind of broke it down word by word. Uchsavtom, and you should write al mezuzos on the doorposts, beisecha of your house, uvisharecha and of your gates. And we spoke about what some of those words can teach us. And we're going to do that a little bit today as well. Now, what does the word beisecha teach us? What is that? What can we infer? What might that imply? And we spoke about some of this last week already. What might the word your house, or as it says in English here on the sheet, thy house? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that's different. Anybody? I think this is from the Koran Chumash translation, I believe. I don't know. I copied and pasted it from somewhere. Yeah. What does Beisecha teach us? Your house.
Permanent dwelling place.
Oh, so one thing is that it's a permanent dwelling house. Very good. A permanent dwelling. So you don't put a mezuzah on your
sukkah.
On your sukkah. That's what I was looking for. I.e. a temporary dwelling.
So the RV.
The RV, we spoke about that last week. It's complicated. Maybe if you actually live there and it has a door, assuming that it has a door that actually fits the requirements of the door, which we spoke about that a little bit last week, then yeah, you might need a mezuzah for your RV.
Fascinating.
Yeah, fascinating. What else? Beisecha, your house. Number one, so it has to be permanent, not a temporary house such as a sukkah. No mezuzah on a sukkah. What else? What else might beisecha, your house, mean?
Not your friend's house.
Not your friend's house. That's right.
Not your Airbnb.
You, not your. Oh, good. Number one, not your friend's house. You don't have an obligation to make sure that your friend has a mezuzah. Now, that's only halachically speaking. Meaning if you go to someone's house who does not have a mezuzah, you don't have to be like, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to go inside. You don't have to do that. Now, I think we have a different type of responsibility. If we have a friend, if we know someone who doesn't have a mezuzah, we have a different type of responsibility, maybe to encourage them or to tell them a little bit about how great of a mitzvah mezuzah is, and maybe they'd like to put one up. So we should encourage a person, like we would encourage a person to do any mitzvah, or to take any good vitamin or any great vacation, lahavdil, or any other fantastic thing to do. So we have an obligation, and more of a spiritual obligation, to help someone with mezuzah. But right, you have to put mezuzah on your house. And like Daniela said, not on your Airbnb. Gets complicated, especially with Airbnb or something like that. If you're doing like a long-term rental, then it might get more complicated. You might actually be required to fix a mezuzah if you're doing a long-term rental. What about if you have a barn? You're raising your own chickens, as some of us would like to do. Maybe even quail. Maybe no quail. The eggs are not worth it for the quail.
Baby
but they're so cute, quail. Yeah. And maybe you even have a sheep that you shear and you make wool sweaters and you get sheep milk and then you make it into cheese.
Then you kill it.
We're getting carried away.
Oh. And you get lamb meat.
Oh my gosh, that's so dark.
We don't have time to unpack that.
This is like,
You need to be.
we're like friends here, and we're like talking about like sheep and like you're like
Watch my farm.
okay, we know that now. Let's keep one eye open with Emily. Okay, what?
No,
I'm saying you're not quite killing sheep.
I don't know what I said.
No pun intended.
But the point is that do you need a mezuzah on your barn for your little sheep to sleep at night, and your little quail that you don't have, and your chickens, and you don't? Why not? Do you own it?
It's not
Do you
your
own the
house,
barn?
it's the animal's house.
Oh, very good. That's right. Beis habokar, a house for cattle, i.e. a barn, does not need a mezuzah. That's not your house. It is a house. It's not your house.
Like a garage?
Oh, garage is a good question. Garage is a very good question. Many garages, first of all, are attached to your house. I know not always, but many garages are attached to the house, in which case oftentimes you enter the garage, and from the garage, you enter the house. Oftentimes, right? So in that case, yes, you for sure need a mezuzah because it's really just another entrance to your house. So you need a mezuzah there. A standalone garage, in general, we would put a mezuzah on in general, but there are certain times, maybe if it's not really used for anything other than storing random things, maybe then you don't need to. But yeah. What about your car?
They have car mezuzahs.
They do.
Like little.
1 second. Good. It's a good question, no?
I mean-
What about your car? Forget RV.
The
Don't
question
talk-
is twofold.
Yeah, okay, good. Say the question.
Do you, like, there's, you can store your car in like a little, I guess, like shoebox thing, you know, that alleyway section 68th Drive, where it's just like car lots that are in, you know, like the sheds that you can just park your car in.
Sure.
Does that need a mezuzah? And then also this isn't really what I was implying, but I guess it came up. Do you need a mezuzah for your car? Which we sell them, you can buy them in Judaica. But
What are they selling?
car mezuzahs,
No,
I think it's just for
Yes, they
shtick,
do.
because it's specifically a car mezuzah, because we also sell regular
some
mezuzahs. By the way, rolling a mezuzah cloth, not easy. No one talks about this. It was
Way
actually,
do you roll? Up, down, up, right, left, right?
oh, you start from the shin, you go.
Opposite.
See, this is why I wasn't good at my
Oh.
job. 17-year-old me.
How many mezuzahs
You're
did you put
fine.
up?
Oh, no.
I didn't
They're
put them
all-
up, I rolled them and sold them. Were
Uh,
they kosher?
Well, they were all not kosher.
Now, the Gemara says in Masechta Yuma, basically the halachas of mezuzah appear primarily in two places in the Talmud, in Shas. In Masechta Yuma, which speaks primarily about the laws of Yom Kippur and the Kohen, and Menachos. Very good. Very good. That's right. Excellent. Now, in Masechta Yuma, it says the following. Yochel, this is going on the words Al Mezuzois Beisecha, on the doorposts of your home. Straight from the Posek, right? So the Gemara asks the following question. Yochel Af Beis HaKisei, maybe also on the bathroom. Oh, Beis Habursaki, and like the tanning area, where people tan hides, or Beis Hamerchatz, and the wash house, the bathhouse. It wasn't like nowadays where people had
the background.
chalk, private showers. There were not private showers back then. There were bathhouses. I think you got a certain amount of privacy, maybe sort of a little bit, but you went to a public bathhouse. That wasn't just everybody did that, right? So maybe you need a mezuzah on your bathroom or on your bathhouse. So the Gemara says no. Talmud loymar bayis, a house. What's a house? Ma bayis also lekovoy, just like a house is a respectable place. So too yotzvei l'shein nasuin lekovoy. This comes to exclude any structure that would otherwise fit the category of a house. I mean, it has four walls, has a roof, has an entrance, a doorway, and all this kind of stuff. But if it's not, quote unquote, respectable, it's not kavod in such a place, because people are naked and they're relieving themselves, etc., that does not require a mezuzah. Yes.
Fun fact about the tanning house, the reason why it's on the list is because they use dung to raise the pH levels of the hive to transform it from skin into leather.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you could also use brains or egg yolks.
Amazing. There's halacha is that what happens if a man asks a woman to marry him, and he says, I want you to marry me on the condition that I am a shoemaker. And she says, okay, shoemaker, that's a reasonable parnasa, but it turns out he's a shoemaker and to have tan sides. So it comes from stinking.
Right.
Or what if he says, will you marry me on the condition that I'm not? Okay, there's all such a discussion because of the smell that you're mentioning. Fascinating. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. Well, I found it interesting, and I have this general rule in life that when I find things interesting, it means that there's going to be at least one or two other people that also find it interesting. So here we go. We just said that a bayis, a house, means no bathrooms, no bathhouse. Again, we don't really have bathhouses nowadays, but you get the point, right? A place where people are uncovered, maybe they're relieving themselves. It's not such a respectable place. Someone comes into your house, they know there's going to be a couch to sit on. There's a gray couch, there's blue chairs. It's going to be nice. It's going to be respectable. They can take a coffee, maybe even espresso. Got new beans just to make sure I have enough coffee beans for espresso on Purim for everybody who comes by. But I digress. So here's where it gets interesting. We're going to take a look at the Shulchan Aruch right now. Code of Jewish Law. It's one of the big books, but this is one of the small versions of the big book because it just fit better on the shelf. And we had a nice sponsor for it for the Chabad House Library. So this is in the laws of tzitzis. Yeah, shout out to the sponsors who sponsor the books we have around. This particular set of books is brand new, beautiful, shiny with. Why don't people do this more? The painting on the sides. It used to be this was a craft called gilding. It was like a whole thing. Anyway, Yitzchak and Ortal Danish sponsored this wonderful set.
What? With paint on it.
Yes.
Just send them a video and say, I shouted you out in the video.
I should. Okay. This is in Hilchot Tzitzit, in the laws of tzitzis. Here we go. I'm going to read you a halacha, and then we're going to read where it gets interesting. The halacha says as follows: Mutter likonis betzitzis lebeis hakiseh. It is permissible to enter the bathroom with tzitzis, which is good because I'm wearing tzitzis, and I did enter the bathroom at some point today, so I was wearing tzitzis, and that's okay, not a problem. Now the Shulchan Aruch continues. All the more so, you're allowed to lie down and take a nap while wearing tzitzis. Not a problem. If you're allowed to go into a bathroom with tzitzis, for sure you lie down in your bed, not a problem, right? However, there are those who write, they are accustomed not to lie down for a nap if they have a talis, meaning a talis with the actual tzitzis on it. Furthermore, I don't know if that's politically correct. Not to give your talis to a Gentile laundromat. Sorry if that's not politically correct. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm actually not sorry. It's not politically correct.
Oh, that's fair.
Like, I
No,
don't
they
think
have
that's-
these cleaners of those.
Why? That the mitzvah should not be disgraced in any way. Right, the classic story, of course, is the guy takes his talis to the dry cleaners. The dry goes to pick it up a couple of days later. The dry cleaner's like, I cleaned it really, really well. It was full of knots. I undid all of them for you. Right. However, so the Ramah says that, however, you are allowed to lie down and take a rest with your talis. Now, I know I told you it was going to get interesting. That's not what I was referring to. Even though everything's interesting. Here we go. You ready? Magen Avram. The Magen Avram commentary over here says as follows. Uvekisvei ha'ari. You ever heard of the Ari? The Arizal?
Yes.
People say Kabbalah. What does Kabbalah have to do with anything? It's in the Shulchan Aruch. On multiple places in the Shulchan Aruch. It's quoted in various different locations. Uvekisvei ha'ari kosov al piyasoid. In the writings of the Arizal, the great Kabbalist lived around the year 1500 in the holy city of, mentioned it before, Svas, yes. Who else? 1 second. Let's get some good Jewish geschmack and Jewish history down here. The Arizal lived approximately the year 1500. His name was Yitzchak Luria. He lived in the town of Svas. Who was with him in Svas at the same time? Multiple people. Multiple correct answers. By the way, we're talking about this was like a massive golden age of Yiddishkeit. The Arizal, greatest Kabbalist to ever live. Basically. Rabbi Akiva, no, good guess, but no. Yes, who's the Shulchan Aruch? Yosef Karo. Yosef Karo learned Kabbalah with the Arizal. Who else? Huh?
Wasn't he from Spain?
Yeah, he came to Israel. Who else?
Rashi, I'm kidding.
Good guess, but no. Anyone else? Who wrote L'Chadodi?
Is that not? Is that not?
Remember?
Stop. Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
Yeah, I need a hint.
Oh no. The thing with the shul.
Carl.
No.
Oh my gosh.
He's on PC. It's fine.
Reb Shlomo, yeah, exactly.
Give a hint.
Shlomo was his first name?
Oh, man.
Shlomo Alkabetz
Oh,
wrote L'Chadodi. By the way, since Purim, he lived there at the same time.
Where's the limit?
You know who else lived there was Moshe Alshich, another famous person. By the way, since I mentioned, which I didn't plan on it, but since I mentioned Reb Shlomo Alkabetz, who's most well known for writing L'Chadodi, we all say, every shul says it.
Made a version of it.
Huh?
I made a version of this.
I heard of it. I think you played it, right?
Yeah.
We should send it out afterwards again. So this is a Purim related fact that I wasn't planning on sharing, but it came up. There's a mitzvah, right? There's 4 mitzvahs on Purim, right? What are the 4 mitzvahs? Let's go through quickly. Hearing Gillah, night and day. Mishloach manot. Mishte is the Purim feast, and what was the other one? Matanot, you need gifts to the poor. Okay, let's mishloach manot. You give 2 items of food to somebody, right? What are the reasons for this mitzvah? Why do we do that? Huh?
Camaraderie.
Oh, so one of the answers to this question, given by the Shlomo Alkabetz, is camaraderie. When you give someone a gift, give them something nice, they say, "Oh, thank you. Oh, you thought of me? Oh, that's so kind of you." And it generates friendship and camaraderie. That's one reason why we give Mishloach Manot. Another reason is the reason of the Trumas Hadeshin. The Trumas Hadeshin says, no, nothing to do with camaraderie. You want to make sure that someone else has what they need for the Purim feast, for the Purim Su'udah. That's why some people give specifically like a bottle of wine and a challah, for example, or something that can be eaten at the Purim feast. So 2 reasons. Number 1, we give Mishloach Manot to make sure to help provide food, provisions for someone else's Purim feast. Number 1. Number 2, the reason of Reb Shlomo Alkabetz, that the reason is nothing to do with the Purim feast. He says it's to generate a feeling of friendship, which is the opposite of what Haman wanted to do. He wanted to create separation. He said, there's a people, they're all scattered, they're separated. So, get this. Reb Shlomo Alkabetz wrote a Kabbalistic commentary on Megillas Esther called Manois HaLevi, the portion of the Levi. Sholoch Manos, Mishloach Manos. His book is called Manos HaLevi, the portion of the Levi, because he was a Levi. And he gave it, his book, I have it in my house. He gave his commentary, his Kabbalistic commentary on the Megillah to his father-in-law as Mishloach Manot. It's not food. Reb Shlomo Alkabetz held that's not the reason for giving Mishloach Manot. The reason is to generate camaraderie and friendship. You don't need to give food for that.
Should I give spoon?
Should give spoons. Now we paskin, by the way, that it really should be food anyway. So technically, the best thing is to give food, and that will also generate camaraderie. But you can give a spoon. And Shlomo Alkabetz gave his commentary on the book of Esther to his father-in-law as Mishloach Manot. Okay. Anyway, back to our mezuzah topic. I couldn't help but just throw in a little Purim tidbit. So it says like this. The Arizal writes according to Kabbalah as follows: when you go to sleep at night, you should not remove your talis cotton, the tzitzis that we have. You should not remove it. You should sleep in it. That's what the Arizal says. Huh? It's not Chabad. This is 250 years before Chabad, by the way. But yes, Chabad does it. Don't worry. We like Kabbalah. We like Kabbalah very much. Now, Umevi. And he brings the following, like Moti mentioned before. He quotes from the Gemara and Masechta Menachos that discusses Mezuzah. One time, you maybe you've heard the story before. One time, King David HaMelech, was in the bathhouse. And he realized that he was naked. And David HaMelech thought, what does it mean to be naked? And he said to himself, Oy li shani oru min mina mitzvahs. Oy ve, I am naked of mitzvahs. I'm in the bathhouse, so I'm not doing any mitzvahs right now. And he was upset about that. Then I don't mean to be graphic or anything like this, but we're all adults here, right? He looked down and was like, oh, I do have a mitzvah, bris milah. That's the mitzvah I have. Sorry to be so graphic. It's Torah. We could talk about things like that, right? Now, the Mogen Avram asks a question on the Arizal. You ready for the question on the Arizal? Mogen Avram, commentary, halachic commentary, is asking a question on a Kabbalistic source from the Arizal. Okay? Because really, Torah is all one. Everything is everything's connected. Vakasha, yes, it's a question. Lama loy omar came balayla shahayagam kinor. Why didn't David HaMelech, King David, say the same thing? Oh my gosh, I'm naked of mitzvahs at nighttime, not just in the bathhouse. Because at nighttime, there's no obligation to wear tzitzis. And you don't have tefillin on either. So why didn't David HaMelech every night say, oh my gosh, I'm naked for mitzvahs? Because he doesn't have tzitzis. Ella, and he answers, that is a proof So this is all from the Arizal, by the way. This is not the Magen Avraham. I read it wrong. I'm sorry. It's not the Magen Avraham asking on the Arizal. It's the Arizal himself saying. So from here we see a proof that David HaMelech, says the Arizal, slept in his tzitzis. Because otherwise, every night he would have said, I'm naked for mitzvahs. Since he did not say that, is a proof, says the Arizal, that he slept in tzitzis.
Why can't you just say he has a brace?
That's a very, very good question. It's a very good question. Hold that thought. Excellent question. The Magen Avraham says, now listen, this is the Arizal. He was a Kabbalist, so we're good. We accept what he says. However, let's go a little bit further. At nighttime, in addition to bris milah, by the way, which would be a good answer, he has another mitzvah at nighttime in his house. What is the other mitzvah that King David would have in his house at nighttime? Not tzitzis. You don't wear tzitzis at night. Mezuzah. Masha'en came b'merchatz. But in the bathhouse, there's no mezuzah. Why not? Because the Gemara says that you only put a mezuzah on your bayis, on your house. And a house means it has to be kavod. It has to be respectable. Yes.
So why do so why do some people put their tzitzit on like inside of their pillow and they sleep with it?
I don't know. I never heard of such a thing. I don't know.
What is it?
Really? No, they put their tzitzit like under their pillow cover, like inside. They sleep with it.
Who are such
I don't
people?
know.
My brother.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Maybe
I'm
he
not
doesn't
sure.
want. Maybe he wants to have it ready to put on right away when he wakes up in the morning. But according to the Arizal, you should wear them. According to Halacha, you do not have to wear them at night.
When do you make the bracha?
What's that?
And when do you make the bracha?
Oh, that's a very good question. So according to Halacha, you can't make the bracha on your tzitzis in the morning if you never took them off. So the straightforward Halacha is a person can be mamashmesh. He can basically just adjust his tzitzis or straighten
Pajama
them.
tzitzit and daytime
And
tzitzit.
pajama tzitzis is the
When
problem.
we're talking about cities in this context, we know what a house.
House cut.
So the house kata.
Yes.
Not really cities, then.
And a Tal's Gadol is?
Isn't that like what's referred to in the modern?
Yeah.
I mean, I know my Jew doesn't say Rabban tzitzis, and we don't wear them on Shabbos.
That's a unique shita, the shita of brisk.
Yeah.
That doesn't wear tzitzis, but that's I guess you could call it an outlier approach.
Yeah, so.
Most
So
people,
we're talking about
because
we're
most
talking about
Orthodox
the same
Jews,
tzitzis that we wear today over their shoulders.
yeah, Tal's cotton, Tal's cotton. So from here we see that he must be that when David HaMelech realized he was quote unquote naked, meaning naked for mitzvahs, he didn't have his tzitzis, he didn't have his tefillin on. And since he didn't have mezuzah, it must be he was in the bathhouse. But at nighttime, he has the bathhouse. I'm sorry, at nighttime he would have his mezuzah, so he didn't feel like he was naked. V'chein mashma b'gemara, damin b'gemara, tanu rabbanan, the Gemara says, Chavivin Yisrael, shesi b'van HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'mitzvahs. The Jewish people are praiseworthy, are cherished. Hashem has surrounded us with mitzvahs, tefillin, v'tzitzis, mezuzah. Yeah, we have tefillin, we wear tzitzis, we have a mezuzah in our home. Leam Omar David, Sheva b'ayom hilal ticha. I will praise you 7 times a day. And that's why, by the way, we're supposed to say 7 kaddishes a day. Now, so it's specifically when King David, when David HaMelech entered the bathhouse, that's when he said, I'm naked. Because he didn't have a mezuzah there either. So that's how we see one of the examples, rather, of not having a mezuzah on a place that is not quote unquote respectable. You were asking something or saying something before? Did I miss?
No,
No.
mention everything makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so what's the point I wanted to make? Why am I telling you about this Magen Avraham and bringing from the Arizal? Because mezuzah is a mitzvah that as soon as you put it up on your house, it's a continual mitzvah. Every moment that the mezuzah is affixed to your doorpost in the correct manner, you are, I don't like to say this, but you're getting the mitzvah. I don't like to say what you're getting. Mitzvahs are not about getting. You're fulfilling the mitzvah. You're connecting to Hashem by having that mitzvah of mezuzah. And in that sense, you're never naked. You always have that connection to Hashem through doing the mitzvah of mezuzah. Unlike even mitzvah of tefillin or whatever mitzvah you have, tzitzis, right? Pretty much any other mitzvah, you have that connection when you do it. Once you take your tefillin off, though, you put on your tefillin on and you take them off and then move on. Next. But mezuzah is a constant mitzvah, which is one of the reasons that it's so important to make sure that you have mezuzah in the correct place on your doors and that you have a kosher mezuzah and so on and so forth. So it's a powerful mitzvah. Okay, questions, comments? Okay. Let's take a look in the Rambam because we love Rambam on page 2 over here. I didn't put the English there, but we have another recently donated set to the Chabad House Library, the English Rambam, the full Mishnah Torah, donated by the same person, same people. Right. Danish. Yeah.
Shout out to you guys.
Sorry, in case you didn't realize that.
My people, thank you
You
guys
guys all
so much for the.
My people too. Okay. The Rambam says as follows.
I saw no difference between
And Mother's people as well. All of our people.
my people also.
All my people. Let my people know.
I
Okay.
thought it was different.
Let my people go, you said?
Yeah.
Rabbi Steinsaltz used to say, let my people know.
Mm.
It's good, eh? Okay. Let's read this halacha. It's chapters. You can follow along in Hebrew if you want. I wasn't able to put the English there, but we're going to read it in English. This is chapter 6 in the laws of Mezuzah, which is in the book of Ahava. The book of Ahava of the Rambam, the book of love is Mezuzah. Chapter 6, halacha 13 says as follows: Chayav adam lihzar b'mezuzah mipnei shehichoyvas hakoil tomid. A person must be extra careful, show great care in fulfilling the mitzvah of mezuzah, because it is an obligation which is constantly incumbent upon everyone. And likewise, every moment you have the mezuzah up, you are constantly doing that mitzvah. Okay. Anytime you go in or you leave your house, you're going to see the mezuzah. You're going to encounter, and you're going to remember what the mezuzah says inside of it, which is the Shema, which is the unity of Hashem. You're going to remember that you're connected to Hashem, that Hashem is like a parent, Hashem loves you. And he says, you're going to see the mezuzah, it's going to remind you about your place in the world, and you're going to wake up from your shluf. You're going to wake up from a spiritual shluf. And v'yeda, you're going to know you're going to realize that nothing is forever. Everything is fleeting. Everything comes and goes except for my connection with Hashem. Umiyad, huh?
Pretty stoked till the last part.
Yeah. Umiyad, and right away the person's going to see the mezuzah. They're going to be reminded that everything is ephemeral. All the physical possessions I have, they come and go. They're going to rot in some landfill somewhere. The only thing that really is eternal is Hashem. It's going to straighten you out. It's going to give you like a wake-up call. It's almost like, I've met someone that... You ever meet someone that you're like, this person needs a slap? You ever meet someone? Don't admit it. I'm sorry. You're laughing way too hard about this.
Too often.
Too often.
On the daily.
Some people just never been hit.
Some people
Just
just get a
never
slap upside the head.
Across the face.
People that move really slowly, people with ADD, they all just need to be.
So the mezuzah is like, in a sense, a spiritual slap. It wakes you up, reminds you you're Jewish. You're here in this world to accomplish something. For the pursuit of material goods is fleeting. There's no real joy in that. There's no real meaning in it. So it's going to straighten the person and gives them a slap, so to speak, straightens them out. And you can just return to going on a straight and narrow path. Exactly. Now, the early sages said that anyone who has, this is a quote from the Gemara, anyone who has tefillin on their head and on their arm, and they have tzitzis on their garment. Mezuzah lepischa, you have a mezuzah at your entranceway. Muchsak hu shelo yechta. We can presume, we can be assured that you will not sin. Because we have these items, the mezuzah, the tzitzis, the tefillin, that will keep us on the straight and narrow. It's like having good friends that remind you, that keep you in check, that are there for you. These are these little angels, I don't know where they are, the little angels flying around that are protecting you from going in the wrong direction. As the verse says in Tehillim, the angel of Hashem camps around those who fear him and protects them. So mezuzah has a protective element to it.
So what do you do when you're not in a place that has one?
So there's a story when the Friedrich Lubavitcher Rebbe, the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, who lived in Russia and also spent time in Poland and eventually came to America, where he passed away. He's buried here in Queens, actually, 6.6 miles from here. I know because I walked it, so it's 6.6 miles, 10 kilometers, just over 10 kilometers. So he was arrested by our dear friends, the communists. Aren't they lovely people? They arrested him for the heinous crime of teaching Torah. They arrested him and they put him under a death sentence in communist Russia. I don't want to tell you what happened to people that were under death sentence in communist Russia, because you know, to most of them. In fact, in Chabad, you have like, my kids have friends whose grandparents were literally shot by the KGB. This is like regular in the Chabad world. It's like a regular thing. Or were arrested and like jailed in like some Siberian work camp for teaching Torah, for trying to make a Jewish school and things like this. So at one point when he was arrested, they were interrogating him. By the way, they beat him physically. They threw him down steps. They beat him. Horrible abuse that he endured in Russia before he was miraculously freed from his capital sentence and eventually got out of Russia. Anyway, at one point they were interrogating him held a rifle to a revolver to his head and threatened to kill him on the spot. And he was just like, yeah. And at one point, one of the guards was angry that this rabbi was like dismissive of this Russian who held a gun to his head, could end his life in a moment, God forbid. So he screamed at the Rebbe, this is the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe's father-in-law, screamed, "Do you know where you are?" Meaning like, and the Friedrich Rebbe said to him, "Yes, I do. I'm in a place that does not require mezuzah." That's right. To be told. What kind of place doesn't require mezuzah?
Filthy places.
Place of filth. A disgusting place.
Intellectual response. Not even just like, oh, I'm in a terrible place. It's like, I'm in a place that doesn't require mezuzah.
Right, because it's a whole other level, because a
Really
tzaddik,
good.
a truly righteous person, the whole world is viewed through the lens of Torah, viewed through the lens of halacha and Kabbalah. So to him, where am I? I'm a place that doesn't need mezuzah. That's the definition of where I am, he told me. And they were so taken back by this.
What about a jail? Do you need a mezuzah in a jail? Because technically you could live there.
Yeah, you don't need a mezuzah in jail. But that reminds me, I
Tried
need to
telling
borrow
the
a
guards,
car.
like, I need to put this little cylinder on my door.
Yeah, no, you don't need a mezuzah in a jail, but that reminds me that I need to borrow a car because I have some to visit in jail. And it's 2.5 miles,
That's
2.5
not funny.
hours away. And I need because I only have one car. So either my wife or I has to pick up my son from yeshiva every day. So I need to borrow a car. Anyway, it's someone
You're
I
on
know,
the chat, the WhatsApp group?
borrowcar.com.
No. KGH girls/shul/run.
He's not a girl.
They definitely got one for you there. Oh, don't worry.
Ah, check
There's
it
a
out.
cage.
Girl slash.
Yeah, you guys wanna know. Yeah. You
HEB.
guys wanna get
Okay.
it.
Guys,
I know there's everything.
HEB rice.
You guys wanna get it.
There's everything in Garden Hill Strat in general.
The Russian guard was clearly living down.
Let's
Wait.
conclude
The-
today. It just reminded me about the jail question. No, you don't need a mezuzah in a jail, but I need to find a way to get to that jail to visit this person. People sometimes
Embezzle.
get caught up in things that they shouldn't have. That reminds me, in 2006, and one of our first years in Queens, I decided it would be a wonderful idea to go to Rikers Island prison for Purim. So I made the arrangements and I brought some students. Actually, one student came with that. I think it was one student. He will remain nameless. He did not commit any crimes. And so we went to Rikers Island the night of Purim. And I brought my Megillah to read Megillah for Jewish inmates. They're also Jewish, right? They need to hear Megillah also. And I remember one of the most terrifying moments of my life was when you go in, there's all the security to get in. What obviously you go in and this like solid iron door boom, slams behind you and you're locked in this like but before the next door opens and I was like, oh, it's one of those places. And then the next door opened and you go into the actual prison. But what was interesting about that visit to prison on Purim was that at some point someone tapped me on the shoulder and I turned around. I was like, oh, hi. And it was someone I knew from Shiva who, let's just say,
That's crazy. Maybe a little bit off the diet.
yeah, just a little bit. I
I
was like,
It's a really good story.
oh, what are you doing here? Oh, never mind. That's cool. You don't have to tell. I found out it wasn't so good. But anyway, the guy, I need to visit someone and he got caught up in something and he didn't kill anybody. Got caught up in things he shouldn't have, and I want to go visit him, so I need a car. Anyway, let's conclude by reading the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, on the third page of your source sheet, and we'll conclude with that for tonight. And if you have specific questions about Mezuzah for next time, let me know, or other topics you want to discuss. The halacha says as follows in the Code of Jewish Law, Shulchan Aruch. Schar mitzvahs Mezuzah, the reward for the mitzvah Mezuzah. Mitzvahs asay lichtov parsha Shema. It is a positive commandment from the Torah. How many commandments in Torah? 613. How many rabbinic commandments?
248.
No. Not how many positive commandments. You're right. That's very positive, but negative. How many rabbinic commandments?
2,000.
Too many.
Like 4.
7.
1,000? Too many. 4. Okay, we got the
Is it
spec.
somewhere in between there?
Rabbinic
Somewhere between
positive
4 and
commandments?
1,000?
Yes, it is somewhere between
Cool.
4 and 1,000.
Rabbinic
307?
positive commandments?
7.
Oh, it's so
Rabbinic positive
close.
commandments?
What did you say? Did you say?
I said it now.
What?
Yeah.
Rabbinic positive commandments?
Rabbinic commandments.
Rabbinic commandments or rabbinic positive commandments? Because I think there's 4.
I thought we were just saying things the rabbi said to do. I was like, oh, 1,000.
Wait, how many?
Sometimes, sometimes I wonder, how do we get where we are? How do we even do this?
What happened?
Lyndon Bell.
613 Torah commandments plus 7 rabbinic equals 600 and mathematics people 620,
Accounting.
which spells the word keser, crown, keser, crown.
Touch one.
Because in Kabbalah it says there are tarach amudei or 620 pillars of light that come down through the mitzvahs. Anyway, so it's a positive mitzvah from the Torah, one of the 650 commandments, to write. What exactly writing? We spoke about a little bit last week. The Shema, which is in chapter 6 in the book of Deuteronomy. Remember that from last week? Deuteronomy means
Deuteronomy.
it means
No.
Sale.
Yes.
to say over, to repeat. Mishnah Torah, the book of Devarim, and also the passage of V'haya im Shamoya, which is also from the book of Deuteronomy, but chapter 11. Ulakoivam al mezuzah zapesach, and you got to affix it. We'll get to that last week. What is the definition of affixing the mezuzah? To the doorway of your entranceway, your doorway. V'tzorich li zoher ba ma'oid, like the Rambam wrote that we just saw before. We should be extremely careful to do this mitzvah. V'chol zoher ba, and anyone who is cautious and makes sure to fulfill the mitzvah properly, ya'arichu yomov, he will live a long life. V'yimei bonav, and his children will live a long life. And the opposite, he says, spells out, I'll just read it because he does say it. If you're not careful about the mitzvah of mezuzah, I'm not going to translate it, the opposite. Questions or comments before we wrap up for the evening? Yes.
Do you know how many positive rabbinic commandments there are?
Let's take a look exactly. You want to say there's 4?
Maybe I'm talking about like, maybe like I keep on thinking of form, and like whatever's in the category of form, there's not a lot. Like it might be menorah, reading the Megillah.
Right. Menorah, Megillah, Eruv, Matil Sedayim.
That's it.
No, there's 7.
You don't break on an name.
Yad Shochat Adam. I always forget what it stands for. Yad Shochat Adam.
I know, this one that I learned. Oh, man, I had it before. Sheva Yimna.
Something with the yan.
Okay, we'll
14.
pause for tonight. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll continue next week with Mezuzah if you want to continue with Mezuzah, which I'm down for, unless you have other topics we can look at. And have a great